Hello everybody. Well, I am continuing on with the boat project. So when I got that boat, it was running not too long before I bought it. As I say again, a rat got in there and chewed some wires back at the motor. It shorted out, they ground it out, and it melted some of the harness right at the engine. And let me show you what I'm working on here right now. So this is a circuit breaker right here. And this mounts right back behind the carburetor next to the distributor up on the motor. And this is a 12-volt circuit breaker. And you've got a couple leads right here, an in and an out. I've got the other one off. And these were melted pretty bad in the harness. And in fact, you can see where that one got pretty hot. And I cut it and bypassed it before, and I put a big fuse in line, but I decided I just want the boat back as original as possible. So I have the wiring schematic right here for that boat, how everything goes. This is that breaker right here. And let's see, okay, well this is the starter actually. And this is the breaker right here, 50 amp breaker. And that's what this is right here. And this is the starter motor right here, that little one being the solenoid. And what I want to do is get these main leads. So one of them is coming directly from the switch. This is the battery switch right here. This is the load. And this is going down to the solenoid. And then from there, you've got a heavy gauge lead that's running all the power, everything coming up and going into this switch, into this breaker, and then coming back out of the breaker, and it's going into the main wiring harness that's going up to the front of the boat, and that goes up to the breaker box. So that's what feeds all the power everywhere else, all throughout the cabin and all up to your main fuse box. Now it did not damage the circuit breaker before because the shorting happened in behind the main power wire where the rats had chewed into it. And luckily that was the only place that they had got to anything in that boat, was just right back there. So when they did that though, it melted all the wiring that went to the original distributor and to the module and all that, and these little special harnesses and pigtails. But the distributor I put in doesn't require all of that, so I was able to eliminate that problem. Let me show you what I've got here now. So yesterday I went to City Hardware and I picked up this number 8 wire right here, and that's going to go in place of this. This one's also a number 8. It's just got a double shielding around it right there, but just up at the very end, like some heat shrink somebody put on there. And they're both just number 8s. So I'm going to get all that set up now. You know, these factory ends are really good and they're compressed on there really well. And I have some of those good heavy lugs also, those good ends. And I'll be putting those on there. But I'm not going to be using like a little simple crimp tool or striking it with a hammer or anything like that. I'll show you what I've got here. What I have here is a hydraulic. This is a hydraulic piston right here. I have a hydraulic crimp tool and it has different size dies in it. So Couple weird things here. More rigging again I found. Somebody put these 4 flat washers in behind back here. I can see the impression, the circles from them. Trying to space this pulley out for some reason. And I can see this pulley has been rubbing the old water pump. Rubbing it right there. It's been striking it. This old pump looks pretty rusty. That's why I bought a new one. And the bearings feel really dry. So it definitely smart that I'm changing the water pump, but odd that they put washers in behind like that. Shouldn't be a reason to need to space it. I'm gonna test it over here on this other one. Same time, I'll clean up a little bit of corrosion back here in the back. It's not too bad. And put a fresh coat of paint back in here also. Well, I got the new water pump on. Another thing I found while it was off was this bolt right here. It was too short. They had a washer behind it, and that thing was only catching like 1.5 threads. It's kind of a thick washer, so I removed the thick washer. The rest of them don't have washers, and it got it about another 1.5, maybe 2 threads in. And so it got it enough that I felt safe with it, secure with it. It's on down in there enough now, but it's definitely not the original bolt, and it's not the right bolt. It probably would have helped if it was about a 1/4 inch longer, grabbing more thread, but it still grabbed plenty enough. Pulled the starter off, just 2 bolts here. Here's the new starter, here's the old one. Now this starter still works, but it looks like butt. And you can see it's got, you know, corrosion and maybe salty. It doesn't have a paint finish on it. And that tells me that this may not have been a marine starter, because this has an epoxy finish on this marine starter. Sometimes people say, oh, a car starter will work, and they'll just go buy one for a car. Sometimes they felt it's cheaper, this and that. And you can tell this hasn't had a really good finish on it, and it being in a salt environment, that's not a good deal at all. There's a little bit of differences in the designs. As you see, this has got bolts external on the case with a boss right out here on the outside. These are internal on the case. Another reason I feel this is a true marine starter. Fuel filter and oil filter, I've done cracked this one loose real quick. It's sitting here ready to come off. Same thing with this Fram oil filter. I took my big channel locks. I didn't have an oil wrench, but I've done loosened it here. It's ready to spin off. I'll go ahead and put those on right now too. I have the schematics to this boat, this specific boat, for every tiny kind of wiring and any option it came with. And it shows in the key that shows you what each symbol, the symbol keys, it shows the alternator symbol key, but nowhere in the schematic does it show the alternator. I don't know how they missed that, but they missed it. And nowhere in it does it show it. If you go to the diesel option or the diesel option number 2, there was 2 different diesels available. It shows the alternator, but if you go to the gas motor, it does not show the alternator. They flat out missed it in the schematics, man. It's kind of funny. Just doing it up and doing the best I can, try to make it as right as possible, step by step, and just enjoying. It got really hot and sweaty here earlier, and I was just looking at the high tide in, and I just took off right down there and just jumped in the water and went swimming for a while. Here you go. I'm just work all these down and keep on doing it, man. I'm happy with it. Just really enjoying myself, to tell you the truth.